All right, guys, welcome back to the next episode of the Grand Prairie PD podcast. We are here with a very special guest today.
Yes, sir.
Sir LJ.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me.
No. I'm always here with you, buddy.
Lou, we appreciate you coming in, my brother.
I appreciate y'all having me.
This is going to be good because I worked with Lou for how many years? At least 2.
4?
Oh, yeah. It was a long time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so.
On patrol?
5. 1 in patrol,
And
then 4 on bikes. 4.5 on
very
bikes.
cool.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that bike. That bike love, baby, bike love. Okay, so before we get started, a couple things. Detention staff, we're looking for detention employees. So get online. I think it's grandprairiepolice.org, and you can toggle over to detention. Also, communications. We're looking for, it's called communications, but you hear the officer say dispatch. So 911 call takers. If you're qualified, interested, you can do not a ride along, but like a sit along, or go in and sit side by side and see if it's for you. Please get online, fill that out, get it going. All right, got that spill out of the way.
I just remembered that you were on bikes, and I completely forgot, and now I'm excited because I feel like bikes are the nerds of cops that always get made fun of.
Always.
But having seen it a little bit more up close, it's not totally accurate, but it's very much what's that movie? 21 Jump Street.
Oh yeah,
Everyone,
a lot of stigma.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have like a ballistic shield and a rifle, but if you hop off a bike, I'm gonna like a Vespa. Like a cop shouldn't be on Vespas.
Yeah, but also too, it's all about how the department utilizes
100%.
the unit.
Because when that unit, you were in the bike unit towards the beginning, correct?
We started it,
right,
me and Katie,
and y'all would be in
guys.
our areas that were higher crime, a lot of drug trafficking, that kind of stuff. I remember I actually did a report one time where y'all had an evading in a vehicle offense that shockingly got away from y'all because they were in a car. That was a good one.
Yeah, and bike unit, I mean, we obviously ain't going to be able to catch up to no car, but get a plate, get a good description, direction of travel.
That's exactly what it was, too.
Yeah. And if you ever want to get embarrassed, go to jail out of your car from somebody stopping you on a bicycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a traffic stop and took the guy to jail.
We embarrass a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah, because I can't make fun of you for being a nerd if you just caught me and now you're putting me in a squad car before you put your bicycle in the back of it to go to jail.
Yep.
The only thing worse would be if you put like a tighter Red Ryder wagon to the back of it and just pulled them back.
And had a little, what is it, the little BB guns from
Yeah.
Just shoot your eye out.
Yeah, Christmas story.
Christmas story. Yeah.
Shoot your eye out. No, bro, we had some fun on bikes, though. I'm telling you.
Man.
Y'all were actually on in unit together.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, me and Lou, we rode together several times. But I always tell people, this guy right here had some of the best arrests. And I've been doing this for 14 and a half years.
Really?
Oh, man. They don't expect you, number one, on a bike, period. Like, they looking for a big old black and white Tahoe.
Yeah.
So, but the unit that we had, though, we were go-getters, bro. We made it happen. It was so much fun.
And then when we worked till midnight, I mean, we got into so much stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, my best story from that was we were riding in one of our apartment complexes off Pioneer, and I saw 2 cars parked next to each other. So I just circled back, rode right in between. I got passed into the blunt line. And I was like, thank you. Y'all got IDs?
You can't make this up, bro. Like, he was like, yeah, Katie, I was holding the blunt. I was like, in uniform? He was like, well, she was passing it to whoever.
In the next car.
Yeah, the next car. He just
In their
intercepted
defense, though, you, on top of being high, you're only wearing high reflective, bright blue.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't stand out very well.
Not
I
at
can see
all.
how you look past that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we had a riding with KD and a bunch of the other guys. We had a good time.
Yeah.
And we ran into situations where we ran out of handcuffs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was really when it was like, all right, it's time to go in and write these reports now because ain't nobody got no cuffs left.
Right. Yeah, y'all definitely, from the work I've seen, you're definitely not deserving of the label that sometimes. Although, honestly, I think it's the helmets. I think if y'all wear like some Sons of Anarchy helmets, you'll probably be fine.
It's the helmets, the shorts, and then like nobody looks cool getting off a bike.
Sure.
So it ain't no cool way to get off a bicycle.
Yeah, it is. If you don't, how you sweep the kickstand down and you know, be all suave.
But I mean, it looks cool to us.
Yeah.
But like somebody else, like a 6-year-old, they're gonna look at it and be like,
The way he just described
Still a
it was
nerd.
bad. Like I thought he was gonna say something cool, and I was like, "Kickstand, bud? It's not cool."
Whatever, man.
I feel like you're the kid who went to school for a long time wearing a tie. You're just like, "I'm cool." The
I'm
weatherman
cool.
does it.
And a turtleneck. I wore a turtleneck all the time.
Oh man! So obviously you didn't start in bikes.
yeah.
You start off in patrol. Go a little further back than that though. How do you always know you want to do this job, or
No, not really. I mean, growing up, all I ever thought about doing was being a professional baseball player. So
Okay.
that was it. And then I got to high school, and my dad was like, "You got to have a backup plan, son." And then my senior year, I started to see the difference between people who go to the pros and people who don't.
gotcha?
And one of my best friends in high school, he was one of the ones that everybody knew he was going. I mean, 6'6", throwing mid-90s at
Wow.
17, 18 years old. His dad played pro ball. And so it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's what a professional looks like. I'm 5'7". I ain't got no chance. And Altuve wasn't even a thing then. So it's like
I was about to say, all you need is a buzzer and a guy with a camera, and you're good.
and a trash can. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we're good. But no, it was one of those like I started to see and it was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, I could go and play JUCO somewhere, or I can give up on the dream and pursue something else. And at first it was, of course, all the police officers are going to yell at me. At first it was, I'm going to go and be a firefighter.
Right.
Then when it's like started doing my research, I was like, all right, that's a lot of schooling, to become a medic. And then to me, it was like, well, if I become that, I may as well become a nurse. And then like if I
Yeah.
become a nurse, I may as well become a doctor. I'm going to put all the work into it. And I was like, well, what's the next best thing with less schooling? So
Yeah.
looking into it, the closest thing to sports I could find, police work. And, excuse me, had a lot of people in my church. Growing up, I grew up in Southwest Fort Worth, so suburbs, Crowley, Burleson,
town.
Fort Worth area, and had a lot of black males that I could see that were in law enforcement. My pastor, he was in law enforcement. His brother still is in law enforcement. One of my dad's best friends, he was a state trooper. So just seeing that, I had a good picture of like role models in the law enforcement realm. That was like, oh, okay, this would be kind of cool. And so I did research. I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go to college, major in criminal justice, get some more understanding of criminal law, and then about halfway, I did my first ride along with my buddy that I was an usher with at church, and he's with Fort Worth PD.
Okay.
Fell in love then. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, this is it. So
So you were bringing up the kind of how important it was for you to see other black guys that are role models and crossing over into that law enforcement realm. How I mean, because what year were you hired on in?
I was hired here in 2014.
Okay, so you're around the,
Mike
the
Brown
Ferguson-
happened when I was
right.
in the academy.
Okay, so how much of an effect did you feel from that, or did it affect your decision-making process, or did you feel any kind of outside pressures going into it?
So I never felt any pressure going into it, and then like majority of my friends knew what I was going to be getting into because I bragged about it. It was one of those like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm sorry, like, hey, I ain't no knock on y'all. Whatever y'all want to do, that's cool.
Yeah.
Just know that this is what I'm going into. So respect me enough to
it.
not do anything around me, or if I come
Right.
to your house. Hey, if I'm in a situation I don't want to be in, I'm gonna just leave
Right.
and don't take it as any disrespect. But so I didn't really have any outside pressure outside of my mom. She's like, "No, I don't want you to do it."
Right.
I pray about it every night because I don't want you to do it. Hopefully you change your mind. And then like once she realized I wouldn't change my mind, she was all in.
Yeah.
So in the academy, only got like one bad story. It was a girl that I was like kind of dating at the time, and it was like right after Mike Brown and right after Eric Gardner happened because those were like back to back.
Right.
And I remember I was headed home from the academy. I was in the academy, headed home, called her, and we were she just went in about police, and it was just like super negative, just going in. I didn't get a word in, and it was back when I was living in Burleson, and it was traffic, so it was like a 30, 45-minute drive, and I'm just sitting there just taking it. Got home, said, all right, I got to go. Bye. Never talked to her again.
Yeah.
Amen.
And it was just one of those, like, it helped me realize, okay, I accept the differences of opinion, and I appreciate it, and it's all good, but it's one of those, like, okay, we can't categorize every police officer. Of course, I know everybody does, because as long as you got a uniform on, you don't represent you.
Yeah,
Right.
You know, you
You're
represent
all the same.
police all across the world. It's one thing my mom preached to me my entire life. Growing up, you don't represent you. You represent us.
Yeah.
So, like, my last name is who I represent. I don't.
Correct.
People don't see me.
Yeah.
They see who I represent.
Right.
And then getting into law enforcement, it's like, damn, she's right. Like,
Yeah.
she been right this whole time. Like, I still don't represent me. I represent everybody in law
Right.
enforcement. And so it's kind of like humbled me in a way, and just kind of takes me back. It's just like, all right, I don't represent me. People don't see me, so it's not me that people have an issue with. Now, some people, they might.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it ain't me. It's the uniform. It's what we represent. So I can accept that. I can move past that, and, like, you know, I ain't gonna be disrespecting nobody because of it. And like I said, I've lost friends. I'm sure we all have. We've lost friends, but it's one of those, like, it is what it is, because the real ones,
I was going to say, they going to hang around.
yeah, they hang around,
Yeah.
regardless of, you know, what I do for work.
Well, I think it lets you kind of get an idea of who you're actually around, because we all have friends that are our friends, but you know, you don't always know who someone is behind closed doors.
True.
And a lot of times, I think the issue with policing and the comfort with the widespread stereotyping and the widespread hatred that was going on for some time, and I guess still does, is let people feel comfortable letting their real faces show. And they would start acting and talking a certain way, and you know, lumping all these people in a group together. It's almost like if you're hanging out with someone that you don't know is racist, and then they start mouthing off about a whole group of people, and you're like, oh, hang on a second. Like,
Where did that come from?
right. And it's like, it kind of lets you know, like, who they really are. Because I mean, I've been in the same situation where there's people I don't talk to that, honestly, I'm glad I know that about them. I'm glad that I know they lack that depth to see an individual instead of a group, because I don't want that around my family. And you know, without them having the comfort or feeling that they have a right to, you know, denigrate an entire group of people, I might not have learned that about them.
Yeah. And it's one of those where I'm like, you know, people are going to do it, and it's fine, but it's like, get to know me. Like, if we're boys or whatever, you know who I am. You know what I stand for and who I represent, my family, and, you know, me. So it's like, all right, you know, I'm not going to stray that far. Like, of course, there's a job that's got to be done.
Right.
Regardless, we got to do the job. But at the same time, you should know, like me. So,
Yeah.
Well, I think there's. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say I'm on the same lines. It's like, bro, if you know who I am, you shouldn't have a problem with me being a police officer, because
100%.
you know who KD is. I know how you think, how you act. But I also tell people, it's like, if I have to handle you, that means you screwed up.
Yep.
And I hold anybody in my circle to a higher standard than everybody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll cuff you up faster and a little bit harder than the normal person, because it's like, come on, bro, you know better.
Yeah.
You know, so I get that. And I was, hell, okay, before you go that way. So my dad, you said your mom was like, now she's on board. Bro, my dad still asks me, you still like doing that police thing? I'm like, Pops, I'm about to retire, man. Leave me alone. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So, but no issues with mom, dad now?
No,
just-
they all in. Sister,
Yeah.
they all in. Like, you know, my whole family. I still got some extended family members that,
Yeah.
you know, still probably wish I wasn't doing it. But outside of that, like, nah. But
Yeah.
our core, which is us four, nah, ain't
Yeah,
nobody
yeah.
got nothing to say.
Yeah, that's funny.
So they all for it. And then, like, we all, like my sister, she's kind of in the law enforcement realm, not on police side, but
Yeah.
the other side. So it's like, we all work hand in hand.
Yeah.
Is she a criminal?
No,
No.
she work in the courts.
Look,
Oh.
Yeah.
So for the courts.
Yeah. Shout out to her. Yeah, I know she's listening. Or she'll listen to this one for sure.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
she'll probably listen to this.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you're about to hit us with something spicy.
No, no.
All right. So how was it GPPD specifically? Why not Fort Worth? Because you said you got a few people over there.
So originally got denied by Fort Worth. Right when I turned 21, which I say that's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
I hadn't graduated college yet. So I probably wouldn't have graduated college. I just did it because another friend was doing it, and I'd always wanted Fort Worth. Hadn't even thought about GP. Didn't even know about GP, really, even though I had family members that lived here. But again, I'm only been 30 minutes away. Didn't know nothing about GP growing up. So went down to college, down to Sam Houston State, majored in criminal justice. And then my last year there, GP came and recruited. And that was when retired Chief Dye was the chief, and he went to Sam. So he was down there recruiting.
Right.
Yep, I'm one of those.
Yeah, there's a few of you.
So yeah, he sent a couple of officers down there, and I was like, I never even thought of it. Like, I know exactly where GP is, but I probably knew they had there was a police department here, but I didn't know much about it, if there was, and it wasn't even a second thought about applying for them because small town, didn't know nothing about it. So they came, recruited. I talked to them. It was the Chris's at the time, and talked to them, and I was in love. Like, I was like, yep, this is it. They got take homes. They can chase. You got me sold. I don't care. Like, the money will make itself. So I ain't too worried about that. But I was like, those were the two things that, kind of drew me in. Yeah. So that's how I got recruited. Then I had to push back my graduation from the spring to the summer because I was missing a class. Yeah. So I pushed it back. So I missed being able to apply for that Academy Class 2. Yeah. But it ended up working out. I graduated college in August of 13 and then took the civil service test September of 13 and then got hired June of 14.
Yeah. So for the listeners, when he says take home, so we just have a program. Get online, you can read about it, but I'll explain it to you. The take home. So if you live within the city limits, you can, after you get on patrol and off of probation, I believe, you're allowed to drive your squad car home, essentially. So save you a lot of gas and a lot of wear and tear on your car.
I've had one for
5 years.
Like
forever, yeah.
About 5 since 2017.
And look, and his personal truck has like 300 miles.
It ain't that little. It ain't that little, but it's. I got a little.
I forgot you were bougie till the other day. We were going to work together, or you were going to relieve me, and I was like, "Oh, hey man, I got a good squad. I'll meet you at the station, and I'll make sure you get it." And he's like, "Nah, bud." He comes rolling up in his brand new,
brand new take home, 2022 Tahoe. But yeah, it's I love it. Yeah. Like it's if and when I buy a house, it's gonna be hard to give that up. Mm-hmm. Like that's gonna be one of the hardest things, just because of the gas.
You don't have to, bro. Just buy it in GP.
Well, yeah, that too. I can do that. Yeah, but yeah, it's hard to give up that take home.
Yeah,
even though like today I was coming up here and having to stop for an accident. But
right.
But I mean, patrol gets there pretty quick, and I just suffer in the heat for a little bit, but it ain't too bad. Yeah. But yeah, I get to drive it to the store, to the gym.
Bro, just the gas, like the savings on gas would make it totally worth it.
Yeah. I only fill up my truck like once a week. Once every 2 weeks. Yeah. Because I'm driving.
And that's a V8 truck, yeah. Bro, I'm so jealous.
So
it's not just
lovely.
The Tahoe obviously is a big thing, but like because we lived in Grand Prairie for a while and then we didn't, and I realized like having a family, I really like the idea that our guys are going to respond to my house if anything were to happen, and having kind of the inside, being able to, you get a text or a call or something. Hey, I think something might be going on. I know generally who's going to go and how it's going to be handled. Yeah. The peace of mind there after having worked here for a little bit is massive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's real big, especially like my apartment complex. If somebody comes, I can just go to them real quick and just kind of get a rundown. I was like, hey, what happened, who was involved, what unit. So that way, if I need to go to the office and let them know, because they're going to be asking.
Right.
So I can just kind of give them a little insider baseball on something like that.
Lewis, what happened, man? I was asleep. Can I go to sleep?
That's usually how it is. It's like, but I'll find out. Give me a day. I'll get it figured out.
That's not as bad though as the pulling over, holding up traffic to, hey, is everything okay?
Oh yeah,
It's like, no,
shark
why
attack.
I'm here. And if it, like, what are you gonna do?
Gonna keep driving.
Yeah, you just got to start giving crazy answers. Like, just say something crazy. Like, man, there is a tiger
attack.
loose. Yeah, there is a tiger loose on 360.
Dude, with the way the zoos are around here, though, that might be the case.
Hey, that Dallas Zoo,
Dude, it's like every couple of years, there's like an orangutan
Yeah.
or some freaking
a monkey
something, yeah.
walking out.
Man, listen, I won't say what city, but yeah, we were over there working, riding bikes. And the monkey took a rock and actually threw it at us, and it hit right behind us. And we got on them bikes, and it was code 3 up out of there. So yeah, that's funny. That's funny. All right, so let's start with what you're doing now. So we already talked about the bike unit, but we're gonna
touched
go
on
back.
it.
Yeah. So after the bike unit, now where you at? What you doing?
So I'm back on patrol, working night speed, and yeah, it's been pretty great. I've been working deep south almost the entire time since I've been back. I did one bit up north just to kind of get my feet wet, to get back used to working patrol and answering a bunch of calls and being busy.
Yeah. So
Now I know what I know about our seniority is you don't need to be on nights.
No, I don't have to be on nights at
Yeah,
all. I
so-
choose to be on nights.
So why is that?
he's like, I'm
I mean,
confused.
I'm not confused. I know the answer because I would give this the exact same answer, but I
Yeah.
want to hear you say it.
Well, to me, real police work is done on night shift.
Right.
So, and that's the one thing that I've learned.
Dang, that's a mic drop,
Man.
bro.
But I mean, it is. You know, it's one. There's less traffic, so when we find offenders, it's not just like fish in a barrel. Kind of
Right.
like day shift. If you have time to do a traffic stop, you kind of got to hunt and to go after. And usually, if you're hunting for something, you're probably gonna find it. So
Yeah.
that's one thing I like about nights. It's out of the way. So it's not as many important people on night shift. So it's not saying that we're out wild west,
Right.
but at the same time, it's like, hey, it's a little looser on night shift,
Yeah.
to where we can actually go out and do our jobs a little easier, and it's not as many calls normally. Now this weekend was something different, but it was
I
4th
bet.
of July, but it's usually not as busy, and it's usually as we say, the good stuff going
Yeah.
on at night. So, and it's just to me, it teaches you how to be a cop, going out and actually having to hunt for things, not just going call to call, writing reports. I mean, yes, you got to be great at writing reports, and you get good at it on day shift. But to me, you learn how to really be a cop on night shift.
Well, in a lot of the time that a lot of your crimes are happening, your break-ins and stuff like that, a lot of your preventative work is done at night, where it is in the day as well, but not to the same degree. I don't think. I think a lot of day shift winds up being, unfortunately, taking some reports from the guys you didn't catch on nights. And I said this before, but car chases on days are just
It's
the worst.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I would not
Cancel.
chase a thing.
Yeah, cancel.
Because it's and then people get reckless and they start driving on shoulders and there's a bunch of traffic and driving 90 miles an hour on the shoulder on 20 at 6:30 p.m. It's like it's not worth it.
Yeah. So he mentioned Deep South for those listening. That is the southernmost part of Grand Prairie.
Yeah.
I think
Which goes way further than I knew for the longest time.
Yeah, it jumps over 287 because I went to some business down there to answer an alarm call, and I was scared. There's nothing down there but woods and raccoons and eyes in the bushes. And bro, I flashed my light over there, and I got right back in my Tahoe. Yeah.
Just call the county.
Yeah.
Call Ellis County. They're coming back.
Yeah, so, it's very, very far south.
These are building up so many houses and stuff
Oh,
down there.
yeah.
It's crazy.
And
I
then
went
a lot
by
of
there
them-
not long ago. It was nuts.
And we don't even have a lot of them yet. So
Really?
there's still some like the new community Prairie Ridge. We don't have it yet. So it's ours, but we don't have it. The county hasn't released it yet. So even though they still have our water, I think, but the county still patrols it.
Oh, cool.
So, but a lot of times, Ellis County will call us if they don't have a deputy close.
Okay.
And so we can go down there. Maybe it's an alarm or something. They say they'll send somebody as soon as they got somebody, but yeah,
They're covering so much ground.
yeah, they got a lot of ground to cover.
So, wait, you ride one man?
Mhm.
That's a long way for a backup to get there.
You were really worried about the woods.
Oh, bro.
Oh, it ain't woods no more.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say it's our communities.
Yeah, it's all houses. I mean, you get down Old Fort Worth Road, and yeah, you get a little bit of wooded area, but for the most part, nah, it's all torn down, and they're getting ready to build houses.
See, I don't even like the name of that. Where are you going down Old Fort Worth Road? No, sir.
It's
not
just
me.
tough because, like, obviously we don't get a lot of calls down there, so we're hardly ever down there.
Yeah.
So
Right.
say I'm at, Great Southwest in 20 or something. We had an alarm there, video alarm confirmed, so to speak, which is a priority one call requiring lights and sirens. Running lights and sirens is 20 minutes to get down
Yeah.
there. So the 287 in Davis.
We're watching him put it in his car. Yeah, all right, he's going to 87 towards Fort Worth.
So, but I mean, it's a long way, which we're gonna need more officers to be able to cover that ground. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
just right now, we don't have enough down there that we answer calls for. That I don't really spend too much time down there. And like I try to get down there and show people that
Yeah.
we're here.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like even if you look at their IDs down there, it says Midlothian, even though it's
Really?
our city. Yeah.
Huh.
So
That's what old folk do.
You made a comment a second ago about running lights and sirens down there. It made me think. I don't know about y'all, but to me, there's no way to feel dumber as a cop than to be lost while you're running lights and sirens.
Oh yeah.
I feel so stupid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Happened to me last week. Well, we were in
Like,
Dallas.
As
We were
soon
in
as I
Dallas.
make a
Oh,
turn and
yeah.
I got to go back another way, I feel like someone's looking at me going, that dumbass.
He's
cop."
an idiot.
Well, here's something probably just as bad. Lights and sirens, but you're doing like 10 miles an hour because you're looking
Trying to make sure you don't pass the street.
Yeah.
like he's going somewhere in a hurry. Like, no, I'm just
No.
lost.
Trying to figure out where I'm
That's
going.
funny.
Just want you to stay out of the way. Don't come hit me.
Yeah. You think we're going to get a substation down there?
Ooh, they're talking about building a new fire station down there, so
Yeah.
maybe we will.
Yeah.
Because the lake station, that's not far enough.
Yeah.
So we gonna have to. We may need something.
Yeah.
Because we're only gonna keep expanding down there, and I'm sure the businesses are gonna come as soon as Mansfield, Midlothian, and us. We all get on board.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only imagine that we'll need something down there.
Yeah. All right. So that's patrol. Go ahead.
I was like, getting back on topic.
Yeah.
So you come in from college. With the expectations you brought into the job from college, going into the academy and then the beginning phases of being on the street in the FTO program, how did it live up?
I'll have to say it lived up to everything I was expecting. And the reasoning behind, so I told you I rode out with my buddy at Fort Worth. In Fort Worth, really good department, and just kind of learned a lot from him just in those ride-alongs, seeing how he works in the part of towns that he was on. But then I come over here, and my first night in observation, and we were a big class. We were a class of 18 in class 3. So a huge class. And so I was on shift with a lot of people that I was in academy with. And then I went immediately to nights B. First night, I remember me and my FTO, which she was driving, I wasn't, because it's an observation. Being a rookie,
Right.
first week, you're just sitting in the passenger seat learning. First night, we get a call about possibly drug dealing at this house. And so me and her park down the street. We walk up, and there's this car parked in front of that house with a male and a female inside of it. And the female's like getting out, and it was like, hey, stop. He cranks it up, puts it in drive, takes off. So it was like, oh, let's go. So we're running back to the car. He'd already made the turn on a Marshall and then in an unknown direction, but she put out the description. I think maybe a plate, I can't remember. And then not too long after that, one of our officers found the car and they get into a chase.
Right.
So now I'm like, oh, this is
that's
it.
awesome.
So like I'm listening to it on the radio. We got this house. They're super, non-compliant. We ended up finding a bunch of dope. So it turned into that out of the house. I think we made a couple of arrests out of the house. And they chased that guy to Fort Worth. I remember it stopped at like precinct line and something over in Fort Worth. And I was like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
So, and it was like everything that I was recruited on, I was like, it lived up to it just in that one night.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, this is for me. Like, of course, I don't know anything. Like, I'm
Right.
still got a lot to learn, but this is for me.
Yeah.
And so go through the FTO program, absorbed as much as I could, get out on the streets immediately, back on nights B. And again, we had a big class, so majority of my class was in the area that I worked. So we were all beat buddies. So I was familiar with the people I was working next to because we all got bumped down south. Like all the senior guys were up north, we all got bumped down south. So working next to people that we're all kind of learning together really helped a whole lot too. And then, yeah, it was just kind of it wasn't a free for all, but it's just like we're all learning together. We all, you know, some guys really like dope. That's what they got, and they got chases because of it. You know, me, I was a more stolen car gun guy, so that was what I gravitated to. And then, of course, trying to answer calls and get more understanding of the job as well. But stolen cars and guns, that was my thing. That still is my thing. So learning together with the people that I came up with, and then I did that for about 2.5 years, and then transitioned over to bikes. With KD and the other guys, I was the least senior person. Like, I was the second most senior in seniority, but I was the least senior in experience. So when I went over, to me, it was okay, I'm learning from these guys now because this is my chance to pick their brains and see things the way that they see it coming from their respective departments before they got here. And learned so much from KD, just from a dude carrying a single battery, you know, and we let the guy go, and KD was like, "No, come here." Grabs the battery, opens it up. He didn't even look at it. What's in there? Crack. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, and it's just, you know, learning from these guys, these experienced guys, and that's always been my thing. Is like learn from the guys with more experience than me because they got more knowledge and they've been doing the job a lot longer than me. And so with that, I was just like, oh, shit. Like these guys know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. They know how to just watching them talk to people, you know, being able to convince people. And then, like, I was just like, well, I'm going to start trying to do this stuff, you know. And, I mean, getting people to consent to search, and they got dope in their pocket. And I'm just like, oh, this ain't that hard after all.
The first time you see it happen and you're like, hey, do you have any dope on you? They're like, no. And then the officer's like, okay, prove it. Let me search. And they're like, well, okay, that's stupid. They're going to say no.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure. I don't have any. You can look. And then, surprise, I do. And it's like, what did you think was going to happen?
What are you thinking?
Like, they're just going to say, oh, no, never mind. He said yes. I'll leave.
Yeah. Jeez. And just being able to do that and just, like I said, learning from those guys. And it helped me. I probably learned, I learned more in bikes in those 4.5 years that I did in patrol starting off. And then, like, even another thing, I got more guns and dope in, like, the first year in bikes than I did in my 2.5 years on patrol.
Yeah.
And it was just hanging out with these guys.
You're not only that, but also the nature of it is proactive, almost
super
exclusively.
proactive. Yeah. And that's, I mean, we had our stuff that we had to do, you know, working at the mall, but then, like, getting guns and dope at the mall. Right. And it's like,
surprise,
you know, stopping gambling rings or, you know, finding dope, large amounts of cash, or even just, you know, when Grand Prairie got liquor stores and sitting right in front of the liquor store and making contact with people. And they got, you know, 4 ounces of weed and $1,500 in cash. Just like, what are you doing? Like, you spoke to us before you went in.
Right.
And you think you good? So, yeah.
It's the bikes, man.
It's
And the helmets.
Bikes was fun.
It's the hell.
They don't take us serious, but everybody thought we were security.
Yeah.
Or that time we got police call on us because we were riding over on the East End, and they were like, well, they're wearing, you know, yellow and reflective, and it's just, and they're on bikes, and it says police. We were wearing blue.
Yeah.
Right.
And
She called the police on us.
we were police.
That's funny. That's funny.
But that was when we were new. So
Right,
nobody,
I mean, somebody who's
nobody
lived there
knew
their whole
anything.
life for a while has never seen you. He's like, that's not what GP does. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, no, yeah, they do.
It is.
Handcuffs are real.
Yeah.
So I want to mention, you made a comment earlier about when you first started off and you realized, oh, man, I love this. This is for me. I don't know about you, but that's a super scary moment for me when I realized I wanted to come to Grand Prairie. And it's because you also have that, I'm not official yet. I'm not hired on. I'm not off probation. So it's like, man, I really want this. You're never going to be able to not want it again, but you haven't made it yet. So it's a very tense, stressful time. At least for me, it's like I want to make it so bad. I haven't yet.
Yeah. And I didn't want to overdo anything. Of course, I stayed within my range. That was a big thing. It's just, okay, I'm on probation. I can still be fired at any point in time if, like, I really screw up. So let's try to rein it in. But at the same time, I'd also heard, like, hey, if you're doing your job,
correct,
some things, just the cost of doing business.
Yep.
And so I kind of had that mentality. But at the same time, it's just like, all right, rein it in. Don't get me wrong. I've gotten tunnel vision plenty of times.
Right.
And, probably gone a little further than I should have.
Right.
But that's being new in the profession. It's, immaturity, and it's not being able to slow things down like we can now.
Right.
Because being able to slow things down, like, I remember the day that it happened to me, I was like, oh, like, slowing things down, getting out of that tunnel vision, and like seeing everything, it really literally opened my eyes, and I was like, oh, crap. I'm going 137 miles an hour down 30, chasing this car.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
So thankfully he blew his, oil pan and ended up having to stop, but it was one of those, it was like, why?
Now, that's not the guy you tased on I-30.
No, that's not the guy that I tased on I-30.
Bro,
that was only about 107.
Tased a person on I-30, bro. The only officer I know that ever done that right there. Funny story. All right, go. I want to hear it.
Well, it was, and it all happened because I caught a flat. I caught a flat on my bike. That's the only reason why this thing happened.
Bicycle?
Yes.
Okay.
So me and KD were riding off of Main Street, and I caught a flat, and we had tubeless
I
tires.
thought you were going to say 30. And I was like, I did not know y'all did that.
No. Hell no. No, we were riding on Main Street on the west end. I caught a flat, and we had tubeless tires. So it was one of those, like, you had to fill it, like patch it, and then pump it back up. Well, I don't think me or KD, one of us had like a patch deal. And we weren't too far from lunch. So it was like, all right, we'll just ride in cars for a little bit, and then we'll just take it to lunch. Well, this car had been hitting flock that auto theft had put in. And again, I like stolen cars, and it was like catalytic converter thief. Mm-hmm. And he was coming westbound on Main Street in this gold Lincoln. But the plates came back to a different car. So already got my PC right there. So now, like, and it's happened like as soon as we got in the car. So get on Main Street near the QT, it hits, and I'm like, oh, well, this will be a good stop. Pull him over. He stops at 1100 West Main, the old Bella Vista, or 1000 West Main. And he stops. Get up there, talking to him. I'd already immediately called for it back. Talking to him, he's super nice, but he's got some car parts in the car. So I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, well, this is probably legit.
Right.
So he verbally identifies. He doesn't have an ID. He lies about his name, which I find out later. He gave his brother's name. And he's got the actual sticker for the car up in the windshield. So I run that plate, and it comes back clear. Nothing, anything. But, of course, I know something needs to be done. So as soon as my two backup officers get there, I go back to the car, and, like, I'm calling auto theft. So I'm like, call, no answer. So I'm like, all right. So I get back in the car, and as soon as I'm calling the other detective, I see one of my backup officers running towards me, and the car is taking off. So I'm like, Chase is on. All right. So we go on to 161, and then northbound on 161. And again, he's in probably like a early 2000s Lincoln town car.
Right.
It's a tank, so it's not super fast. And I'm in my old Tahoe that I've had for 4 years, so it ain't that fast either. But I'm like, all right. And mind you, it's like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
And chase him northbound. We get on George Bush. We go northbound to eastbound 30. And so I'm like, all right, cool. Well, he starts to slow down, and then all of a sudden he decides to do a U-turn when he gets on 30 to go the wrong way on I-30.
Oh, jeez.
In the middle of the evening, bro.
And at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Obviously, we know what happens. He wrecks. He causes a 4-car wreck. Yeah. He flips around. His car runs into the retaining wall that faces the service road, and he slams his face in the door jam as he's trying to get out to run. So then I get out, backup officers, we get out. Now we're chasing him on foot on 30. And running between cars, well, it was kind of cool. And I had my taser out at the time. Somebody tries to like box him in, so it slows him down, so he has to like back up. And then I got my taser out, and to prevent him from going onto the express lane to get run over, tase him in the middle of 30. And
this dude just locked up against the wall. And I'm like, Lou, don't get hit, bro. In some Colesville. It was bad. It was bad.
So, and that was one of those things. Like, we called out the major accident. Like the chief showed up. Like he ended up showing up. There was a bunch of people there. Yeah. A bunch of people. And we had 30 locked down for a good little while. Dang. All based on this chase. And I ended up on TikTok. Like somebody had put it on TikTok or something. So.
And he's like, Katie, it's your fault. I was like, bro, no, it was not.
I want to go fix my bike.
Hey, supposed to have something to fix those flats. But
man.
But that's the only reason why that happened.
Yeah.
Now, you've recently transitioned into the more mature role now, correct?
Trying, yes.
So you're actually working as a field training officer.
I am. I've been in FTO since October.
Okay. What's that transition like?
I've learned that I have more patience than I thought. It's definitely been something that I guess it literally puts you in the passenger seat, and I get to observe. And the biggest thing for me that I've tried not to do is grade off preference, because I know there's a way that I do things, and just because they do it their own way doesn't mean that they're wrong. Right. As long as, all the elements of the offense, as long as they're safe. So that's been the biggest challenge for me. But also it's taught me a lot of self-realization about myself, just in police work and how I do things. And it's just like, all right, now I can't knock them for not doing it my way, as long as they do it the right way. And it's been challenges. I'm real big on communication. Right. So I want them to, I try to do an after action after every call, just to kind of see what they were thinking, why any decisions were made, what I saw, maybe some things that they could have done differently. I've been unfortunate, well, not unfortunate, because the guys that I've trained have been like really great. It's just I'm a talker, and I've had 3 out of the 4 people that I've trained are quiet. So
it's an interesting car ride.
It is. And so I've had to, I don't want to take them out of their comfort zone too much, especially when it's not necessary.
Right.
But at the same time, like, if I'm going to be sitting in a car with you for 12 hours, we got to have something to talk about.
Yes.
Something.
So,
say something, baby.
So if we don't, I mean, at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, if we're just driving around in circles, all right. Ooh, all right, we gonna waste gas, or like what are we doing?
Well, or when they don't want to go talk to citizens.
Yeah.
It's like you want to like poke them with a stick. Like,
Yeah.
Go talk. Like,
And
do your job.
and that's my thing too. It's in order for us to break down some of these walls and barriers, we have to be able to talk to the people that we serve, because we work for them ultimately. So I'm like, hey, next person we see, go consensual contact. Just go. You can talk about whatever. I don't now, and see if you can get their name. If you can't, that's fine too. But hey, just go out, consensual contact, talk.
Yeah.
Because this is the job. But again, everybody that I've trained too, I haven't had a basic yet. I've only had laterals. So
really?
They understand the job.
Right.
So it's hadn't been that challenging, because it's really with laterals, as you two know, it's just learning the GP way. It's not about, teaching how to be a cop. You know how to be a cop. So ideally, yes.
We'll talk about that offline.
Not everybody makes it.
No. And which my first trainee, he didn't make it. you know. But it was by choice. He, you know, it just wasn't working out. And to me, you know, I know our culture is different, and whether you come from a big city where it's a bunch of calls, and then you come here where it's like we make our own trouble. You know, we stir stuff up. We don't just sit back. We can't sit back and wait for it because that's not what our citizens expect.
Right.
Here, they expect us to be out. I mean, we have the reputation. GP chases everything. Or, you know, don't go to GP, you're going to get a ticket. Or, you know, don't go to GP. That's the reputation that we have. Yep. And it's not that we don't want people here. It's just the fact that we don't want the wrong people here.
Well, and that's the thing, that people, the non-criminal element, if you say that to a normal person, they're going to go, I've never heard that before. But when you say that, or you hear people that are involved in criminal activity, their friends and their family are involved in that kind of activity, they know.
Mm-hmm. It's a good reputation to have. I mean, that's how you keep. Number one, you'll attract and recruit the best officers, the ones that are the go-getters. Because it's like, no, hell, you know what? I tell the officers, don't come over here if you're lazy. Huh? Laterals, listen to me. Don't come over here if you're lazy.
Well, and it's a different environment. Mm-hmm. And I'm a strong believer that there's certain departments that are good for some people, certain departments that are not good for others. This department wound up being a perfect fit for me. There's other people though that I know that I've worked for in my previous agency probably wouldn't fit in great here. It is what it is. It's nothing against them. There's just different styles.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, growing up, again, I didn't always know I wanted to be a cop. It's always been some kind of fascination, but like growing up watching cops. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, get to go out and chase bad guys. And then, you know, the rumors, oh, you know, cops isn't real. Like, that's like, blah, that's scripted. And then they came here and it's like, nah, bro, that's real. Like, I can almost guarantee you none of this is made up. This is all real.
Yeah, that was a weird experience.
It was.
Having them around.
It was. Like, I rode with them probably about 3 or 4 times. Never got a story or anything. But it was one of those, like, they just work the camera and the boom mic. Yeah. Like, that's it. They don't say anything. They don't do anything. And, like, one thing I really appreciated about them when the first day they rode with me, they just told me, they were like, hey, police work comes first. So whatever you got to do what you got to do. Police work comes first. You know, we're second. We're just here to record. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe it's not as scripted as, you know, everybody said. And then, like, just them riding and just seeing how they work, it's like, no, this is everything on cops is legit. And seeing that is what drew me to police work. It's just like get to run and gun, like chase bad guys, take bad guys to jail, help people when we can, you know, which is most of the time. Majority of our stuff is, you know, reactive, responding to calls, helping people. But there's a lot of proactivity as well. And being able to go out, having the freedom to go out and find it and chase it and take bad guys to jail is like what I've enjoyed the most.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you hear it coming from the young officer. That's the aspect. And then like laterals, it was when Chief was like, hey, you get a weekend off every other weekend. Because you got to remember where we come from. People been on 17 years. What's your off day? Wednesday, Thursday? Like, what? Yeah, so when I heard that, I was like you. I'm like, I'm in. Let's go. Yeah. You know, I can do the police work. I get on Saturday off. He's like, yep. Yeah. So that's funny. Yeah.
Well, how long do you think you're going to do the FTO? Or do you have any immediate plans?
No, I mean, I can see how people get exhausted by it, but I'm not there yet. Again, I've only been doing it for, 8 months.
Well, and you've only done laterals. So that's true. Weird. Yeah. My first ones were basics. But yeah, man, you're going to get in the car or you're going to get out of the car to go do something, and they're going to ask you a question, and you're going to legitimately wonder, like, what the civil service test was that they took. It's just, or how they have a driver's license.
And see, I'm not worried about it, but again, the transition has been easy because I've only had laterals. Yeah. So I don't have to build them from the ground up. Right. And it's probably going to have to take some internal workings where it's like, all right, understand that they don't know anything. And I was once there. Yeah. So they don't know anything pertaining to the job outside of the couple of introductions that they've had. So be patient. I've learned I have more than I thought I had. Yeah. So maybe, hopefully, when I get a basic, I have even more than I thought I have because
Yeah.
I already know that's going to be a challenge for me and them.
Y'all are a special group of people that can train because I know I drove my trainer crazy.
I would love to see you train now.
I was like, how do I put this earpiece? Where does it go? Like, like watching him get dressed. Lewis is running wires everywhere, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stare at him, but I don't want this to be creepy. I'm like, where did that wire go? I think, damn, he cut a hole in his shirt. I'm like, oh, snaps. I don't know how to do any of this. Hey, bro, Lou, can you help me? I got you, man. I got you. That's crazy.
First time you found out y'all weren't using payphones anymore, you're like, shit. Who do I call to tell the right to report?
Yep, everything by hand here.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's funny.
What are your immediate plans? We're not immediate, I guess. Like, where do you see
like what in police work or when I get out from here?
No, I mean, we can go grab a beer if you want that. I'm always down.
At some point I'd like to get into CID. That's a goal of mine. There are a few units that interest me. But yeah, I mean, auto theft is a big one. Yeah. Again, it's the stolen cars, and to me, that's what interests me the most.
Yeah.
So yeah, ultimately, I would like to get into CID and maybe someday promote after that. But just to get some CID experience to be well-rounded as a supervisor at some point. So that way I have an understanding of both sides, like the street, because I've only done street work since I've been here.
Right.
So I only know how to be a boot on the ground. I don't know your job as an investigator, what you go through. I got some familiarization, but I don't.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yeah. But I don't know, the nuts and bolts and, what y'all do every day and how y'all do what y'all do. So that's something that I would like to do at some point. But until that opportunity comes, I mean, I'll work patrol.
Yeah.
So, and patrol is, to me, this is what I became a cop to do. Patrol
100%.
work.
100%.
So it's one of those, like, it's not a punishment for me to be in patrol. I love patrol because to me, this is what police work is.
Yeah.
And especially being here, this is what police work is. I don't have to sit in a parking lot for 10, 12 hours and, not harass our citizens, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's one of those, like, hey, we want to keep the bad guys out and keep the good people in. So allow me to do my job.
Yeah, no, that having that weight lifted off your shoulders while you're out there it completely makes and breaks the department. Because the same way, I feel the exact same way. Like, being a patrol officer is that is being a cop. If I get sent back tomorrow, okay, like, I mean, wife would be a little upset, but like,
what are your hours?
that's being a cop.
Yeah.
But I agree. So, because some departments, patrol is like punishment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and then the guys that are the men and women there, they don't want to be there, and it's almost the opposite. Here,
Absolutely.
it's like, hey, I bid for that because you want to. Yeah, you've been doing it for 15 years, and it's not a knock on patrol. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, it's not uncommon to talk to guys here and ask them, or guys who either don't have an interest in leaving patrol, or who used to do other roles, and they're like, yeah, I just was done with it. Like, I needed to
like, patrol is home.
Street.
Yeah,
and it's. I mean, with you being in property, you only deal with property crimes. And it's very select, few property crimes. Y'all don't necessarily deal with auto thefts, but it's like in patrol we get everything.
Right.
We're kind of
everything.
We're not specialists, but we have some kind of understanding about whether it's family violence, whether it's even a little bit of the civil process, dealing with property and people's kids and everything. Auto theft. We deal with shooting. I mean, that's one thing too I've enjoyed about FTO is like I get to jump those calls because maybe it's something that I hadn't done in a while. So getting a refresher in that and then having them write the report, but but it's one of those. But I gotta read over the report and make sure that it's good in order to be able to send it up. So it helps me fine tune my skills, whether it's report writing, whether it's investigative, whatever it may be. Because yes, we work patrol, but we send the reports to y'all, and if it's a shit report, now y'all got to do even more work in order to be able to do your job effectively. So
I just cuss at the computer a lot. It's like, God damn, Lewis.
And my body cam, I know. 'Cause it's like, you could have asked that question. Yeah, my bad.
No, it's the body cams what make me miss patrol because like I'll watch them and I'm just like, that looks so fun. I was like, now I'll type it, report, and forget the warrant entered, and y'all go arrest them and they'll fight you or there'll be a chase. And I'm like, God, that looks fun.
That's funny. As he stands up and down at his desk, he got the nice desk.
The rising desk.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta stay in shape.
Can't sit down for 10 hours a day, every day.
Can.
Yep.
Well, I think we always end asking for advice. For the younger guys, laterals, whatever, coming in. What would you, if you had anything to impart, what would it be?
Words of wisdom.
I believe here, if you want to come to Grand Prairie, we have a standard, and our chief will tell you that. Like he's not going to negotiate the standards just to put bodies out on the streets. Coming here, it's not just the administration; it's the officers. We have the standard too, and we like hard workers. If you want to come here, you got to be willing to work. You have to be willing to put in the work, because if not, you'll be labeled as that guy. And like y'all said, it's y'all come from agencies where people who wouldn't make it here, and that's just because of the culture. One thing I love about this place is the culture amongst officers. My shift in particular, we're pretty tight knit, and we take care of each other. We look up to each other, but we also hold each other accountable, and that's a big thing. If you want to come here, you got to be willing to put in the work. I guess, earn your keep, so to speak.
Yep.
But at the same time, be willing to learn how we do things here. And once you do that, just have fun. Like this is, to me, I wouldn't go to any other agency. I have no desire. I've been here 9 years, and I'm not going anywhere because this is, there's no other agency that's like this one. Mm-hmm. And every agency, has their issues, but here, I haven't seen those. And then two, this is the best place to be a cop,
Yeah. The issues are comparatively small.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not job related.
Hell no. We fussing over epaulets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I don't want them. I don't want
But I mean, like, no, you're not going to get your beards. You're not going to be able to show tattoos year round. But we do have a break. It's Texas. It's hot. Yeah. So you'll have a break. But at the same time,
there's little stuff like that I'm like, once I realized I can grow a beard, I didn't know I could do it for a long time. I've been shaving since I was like 19. Yeah. And then I went on baby leave and I grew a beard. And I was like, oh, now I care about beard polish. I never cared before.
But yeah, I mean, it's just, little things. But outside of that, like if you want to do police work, this is the place to be. It's no sit around and hiding because especially if you're on my shift, I'm going to call you out. Somebody's going to call you out. It's like, hey, let's get to work. Let's do some work. Mm-hmm. But just culture-wise and work-wise, there's not a better place. It's not.
Cool. So bring your A game.
That's right.
Bring
her. And he's a veteran now, so
that's
9
weird
years,
to say.
bro. That is crazy.
That's weird to say.
Yep, 9 years.
Being number 2 guy in seniority on my shift. But I am on nights.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, all right. Well, I think we're out.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
Till next time.